and welcome to the Block Sauce, your web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of gaming and Web3 culture. I'm your host, Arena of Team Ambassador, Jinkirin, and today I've got an incredible guest lined up for you, so grab your controller, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on.
Identify. Pirates. Get me an open channel. Show me their trajectory and cross-reference with our route. I know that ship. Prepare the fleet. Put 'em on.
This is Freighter's territory, my dear Catherine. You should know better than to pass through Echelon space.
Mars bows to no one, including Echelon.
Oh yes, the good old Markolian way. Hiding behind your shameless sense of superiority.
This is your last chance, Marlowe. Divert course or we will make you.
Did you hear that, crew? Looks like it's payday. Don't start something you can't
Armor Division!
At your command.
I want all weapon systems ready for transport.
Understood. Confirming all weapon systems ready to deploy.
Pull up tactical array.
Hey there, sauce enthusiasts. It's time to bring the heat with another electrifying episode of the Block Sauce. Today, I have Fitch with me from Parallels. How are you doing today, Fitch?
Yeah, I'm good.
What's your actual role within the company? I see growth management, so you're like the just director of marketing. Like, what's your official title?
Yeah, I think the official title's head of growth, but titles are kind of irrelevant in Parallel. It's fairly flat organization. We kind of all participate equally in decision making around whatever it is that needs to be done. So, some days it's more marketing, some days it's more business development and partnership. Some days we're thinking about things that need to be adjusted with product. It's a growing company, but it still feels like a startup.
Interesting. So, how long has Parallels been around, or how long have they been building?
Oh man, it's like 2.5 years now. We were pretty early to the NFT Web3 sort of wave, back in 2021, and it's been an awesome journey up to this point. Something that started as an idea that Kalos and some of the other founders had, Mr. Gon and those guys, and then just quickly developed into something that's now a global sort of IP and media franchise, and it's all of that happening in such a short period of time is pretty crazy. And I think people look at that and they're like, obviously like early purchases of NFTs and things were like, oh, when game, and that's natural. But the pace at which this has all happened is very irregular, right? It's very fast. This doesn't usually happen. You don't usually build something that's bordering on AAA tier franchise in that short of a period of time from literally nuts and bolts to where we're at today. Like that just doesn't happen. So it's been about 2.5 years, and we're sort of at day zero now, right? Like it's the TCG is out there in closed beta and scaling up slowly but surely. But we would say that really this is kind of the beginning, not the end. So
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've already seen on the timeline like Parallels TCG alone is blowing up, but it's not the only game. We've also recently started seeing Parallels Colony kind of
Yeah.
catch traction as well, and I signed up for the beta. Make sure you guys go sign up for the beta. That one's also on Parallels Life, right?
Yeah, it's like sign up / colony, something like that. I'm sure when we post this, we can drop the relevant links and stuff down there. So, click the
Rod, that
links and all.
you got it. Rod,
Yeah,
find the
yeah,
link. I'll get the link for Rod. We'll make sure it's in the description for everybody to sign up.
yeah. But that's another thing that's actively in development, and yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot going on at Parallel. It's sort of the IP is being built out in a variety of different ways, and there's cinematics being produced, and the TCG is rolling out, and then Colony is in earlier stages, but progressing well, and we're really excited.
So Parallels is more of the universe or the IP, and you're going
Yeah.
to have individual games within that universe.
Correct. Yeah. If you think about like sort of Blizzard as the
Mhm.
developer, then that's sort of Parallel Studios,
Okay.
right? And then Parallel is like the entire World of Warcraft type of universe, right? And within that, you have WoW, the MMO, you have the sort of RTS type games, you have all these different things. You have Hearthstone. So the first offering that we're coming out with is the TCG. And the thought process behind that was TCGs are a really interesting way to build a universe. And in a lot of cases, it's the opposite way. Like the more big immersive MMO type stuff came first in the case of WoW, and then later Hearthstone. But we're kind of like, well, think about Web3 and think about how nice it is to have full digital ownership of your cards. And while you're making these cards, you're making pieces of art, you're making characters, you're making a tank, a gun, a landscape. And so you're world building while you make the TCG. And, I think the thought process initially was a TCG is biting off a little bit less, which we found was maybe not necessarily the case. It's still quite a difficult type of game to build, but not on the scale of an MMO, right?
for sure.
But we can kind of say, hey, we're going to come out to market with this TCG. And then where the thought was like, well, obviously all this emergent AI stuff, now we're going to move into something like Colony. And then in the future, if the IP does well and the TCG does well, then we could look at things like an FPS or an MMO. And we've put some explorations of that type of stuff out there. But that's why when we make the cards, we make the 3D objects alongside the cards, which I'm sure you've seen, because we're trying to build everything in like this open compatible type of way. So it's like, if we get to that place where those types of games are viable for our IP, we can quickly import the universe into those types of modalities.
So what you're saying is, if you guys did create a shooter or MMO or something else down the road, the cards that I'm buying now should have a role in said games?
Yeah, and I think it's there is a connection there, right? There is a connection there in the sense that we would have the intention is to have basically claimable 3D objects associated with the cards. Obviously, it's very early days in that type of a thesis. We need to see what that looks like, see what that means. But imagine that there's like a UE5 compatible 3D digital counterpart to whatever is depicted in your card. And if we were to build those universes, what that might look like is, if the LAR rifle is a great example, the supply drop card you may remember, where it's got the rifle sitting in the kind of briefcase. What if that was actually a claimable rifle that you could use in an FPS, right? So that's the type of thinking. It's too early to say what that's going to look like in any specific detail, but that's the type of thinking that we're working with.
It kind of makes me think of, like you already mentioned, Blizzard, so I'm going to go with them. Plus, I'm a huge WoW fanboy right now.
I used to play WoW, yeah. So
yeah. Like, for example, if I go and buy the StarCraft Collector's Edition, I get a little StarCraft pet in World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
So they've already kind of had the interoperability system in place. You guys are iterating on that in a sense, or at least that's the thesis. It's playing.
Yeah, I mean, people in Web3 act like interoperability is a new concept. It's not. You know what I mean? It's more of this composability type of idea where like it's actually direct transposition of elements between. But again, like I think Web3 got it wrong when they're talking about across IP types of composability. Like let's focus on what's actually making sense first, and that's within IP composability. So does it make sense within parallel to have one gun, for example, go between multiple types of game experiences? Yes, it does. Does it necessarily make sense for that gun to be in a completely different game that's not in our IP? Well, not yet. And there's functional difficulties around that. There's just like practical difficulties around that. Do people even want that? So, this idea of composability is very strong. It's actually existed for quite a long time. This is really just kind of another step forward in the sovereignty and ownership aspect of it. It's not a new concept within itself.
Exactly. Like I can buy, sell, or trade my assets. It's not, oh, all of a sudden I can use this asset wherever I want. That's not what we're talking about here. At least not yet. Maybe one day in the far, far future. But everybody likes to go, oh, well, Fortnite, it's the prime example. And it's like, well, if you look at Master Chief in Fortnite versus Master Chief in Halo, you're not actually bringing that direct asset between. They had to create a whole new asset. There was licensing involved. There was a bunch of red tape. I'm sure Microsoft or 343 is probably getting a chunk of every sale.
Someone's getting paid.
Yeah, like it's a whole different concept. That's a licensing model. That's not an interoperability model.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like there's these layers, and the layers are the UE5 assets, and what Fortnite has done is saying we're going to be the world in which it lives, right? Yep. And you can import that stuff into the world. That type of a model makes sense. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I remember when I was watching the showcase when they presented it, I was like, boom, like that's huge. I mean, this is the future, but it's not like that revolutionary of a thing necessarily. I mean, it's revolutionary because it's a great idea, but it's simple, Yeah. You're not essentially saying we're going to do some crazy thing like bring, Mario into Halo. Like that's not what we're saying here. We're saying we're going to create a place where a bunch of stuff can come and people can build these types of realities that they want with the assets that are compatible with that world. So
exactly. So I know that you guys have the starter decks, which I've already grabbed a couple myself. You also have the avatars. What's their purpose or role within this universe currently?
Yeah, so the avatars are really cool. I'm a huge fan of the avatars, and the team that made them is, worked at Apple and a bunch of different Riot, and they're super credentialed 3D and AR designers. So the avatars are representing you in the TCG. So they'll be your PFP in the TCG. They can be your PFPs on social media if you want them to be. And they will right naturally, which I think, that in and of itself has already proven to be enough of a thesis for a significant portion of the NFT market. But that was not enough for us. Naturally parallel, we had to do some crazy stuff. So they will modify your prime earnings in the game. So if you're playing with Earthen deck and you have an Earthen avatar, you're going to get more prime. And then you mentioned Colony before. So the idea, and this is still being fleshed out, the idea is that the avatars would be compatible with Colony is probably the most broad brush I can paint with here. But what this might look like is if you have an avatar, you would be one of the earliest players of Colony and perhaps be able to augment your experience. So one of the things that we're exploring with Colony is the ability for the AI to produce NFTs. And so, so that's something that's actively being worked on. So the AI could create 1155s. And you have seen probably the 6551 technology that's come out where NFTs can kind of act as wallets for other assets. And we're considering, so it's a really cool new protocol, and we're considering what that might look like where actual owned avatars are effectively wallets for NFTs that are created by the AI. So, again, it's very early days here, and I don't want to kind of commit to anything here or say that this is necessarily what it's going to be, but the intended future use cases of the avatars are substantial. Going back to the point about the LAR rifle, okay, so you have a world that's being built where the tanks, the guns, the this and that, those things are composable between different types of realities. What about the people? The people are the avatars. So you have to compose characters between universes theoretically too, right? So that's also one of the sort of ideal future use cases of the avatars, is that they could actually be your avatar across multiple, your character across multiple types of games. And you go into a character creation menu, and that's literally what the team did when they made avatars, is they essentially built a custom character creation engine in-house. And that, so it's literally what it is. And you've got your avatar, and what if you could sort of port that into other types of games? So, again, very theoretical still, but the ideal future state of avatars is really, really cool. And they would go between a bunch of different types of things.
I mean, this is so far sounded like the most realistic use case for interoperability and composability yet within Web3. Like you said, it's not new, but you guys definitely seem like you've taken some notes from the existing models, and you're like, let's see how we can make this better. So
yeah, I mean, and that's really what it is. And I think that people have said, I've seen comments on social media like Parallels is Hearthstone reskinned, which first of all is not accurate, right? There's a number of meaningful gameplay innovations, IP innovations, user experience differences, economic differences, so on and so forth. But is that an insult? I mean, like, is that meant to be an insult? I don't know. I find that to be an odd comment, because it's sort of like, we don't reinvent the wheel, we make the wheel better over time. That's a lot of what gaming is. I mean, the core TCG recipe that was created by the developers of Magic the Gathering is great. It doesn't need to be completely rewritten. That would be the wrong way to start. Instead you would do is you would say, what's really great about Magic? Let's bring that in. What's not so great about Magic? Let's leave that out. What's really great about Hearthstone? What's great about Runeterra? And then you would bring all this, and that's literally what the devs did. They love card games. They play many card games. They looked across all the games they played, and they said, which elements do we want to bring in? And inevitably, the core of the experience is going to feel similar to Magic or Hearthstone. Right. It's like I watched this great interview with one of the pioneers in the watch world. He's talking about the similarities between Patek, AP, and Hublot, and they all have a similar looking face. And he basically explained, yes, by nature, they all have a similar looking face because they're all based on the concept of the porthole in a submarine. Right. So, and over time, they ended up feeling more similar to people. But when they came out, nobody felt they were similar. So, that's the same kind of concept. It's like, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're improving on the design of the wheel. That's what you're doing. And, what we can do also that makes it feel distinct is, have an IP that feels fresh and different. And, there's so much high fantasy in card games. Where's the sci-fi, right? Where's the sci-fi?
I've been biting my tongue since you said it. I love World of Warcraft. Don't get me wrong. I do love World of Warcraft.
Me too.
But if StarCraft had the same level of MMO with multiple planets to explore, raids, dungeon bosses, PvP, group content, I would never touch World of Warcraft. I'm a sci-fi guy. That is what drew me to Parallels. I saw it was a card game, and at first, I've told people since coming into Web3, I don't care about TCGs, I don't care about sports games, I don't care about none of this. But I saw Parallels, I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot. Somebody, I think it was actually you, gave me access to the game. I tried it, and I was like, this is like Hearthstone if it was modeled after StarCraft.
I've heard many people say that.
It's not identical because, first off, Hearthstone, obviously, the mana system and the banking system are two entirely separate things. So that really alters the progression and makes you have to decide, do I want to bank this card or do I need to use it later? You don't have that in Hearthstone.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that one difference right there changes so much of the gameplay. So much of the gameplay. And, ironically, the people who say that every single time haven't played the game. Every single time. And I'm like, wait. So you haven't played the game and you've just determined that it's the same game. Why don't you play the game? Just play the game. But yeah, I mean,
there's one more thing that you guys have going, and I hope you guys expand on it. The cinematic, that first cinematic is something I never saw in Runeterra. I never saw in Hearthstone. I haven't seen in a single other TCG whatsoever. And it was like, oh, this is not just a TCG. This is a story. there's an actual story that explains how this is going. Like, if you just see gameplay, you're gonna be like, oh, it's a TCG board. But once you see that cinematic, you're like, oh wait, I see how this is envisioned into the world, into the lore. Like, this isn't just a board. I'm commanding armies. I'm commanding fleets. You know?
Yeah. That Catherine, so cool. When it pans out and there's all the stuff laid out in the ship. Yep. It's so good. I mean, there are, I think, like 6 more of those coming. Yeah, and the same people who did that's all done in house. That's all done in house. We have just insane visual artists, and Oscar and his team absolutely crushed it on that first cinematic. And then we have a number more, and it's going to be interesting to see how many of those make their way into the game versus just kind of our more promotional universe building material. And then we have the comic as well. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to read that, but
I was about to ask you about how the comics come into play, because I haven't gotten that far yet either.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that we were talking about today is, like, you know, probably making like anyone who has an account or signs up fresh automatically gets a digital readable version of the first comic. So that's probably something that we'll do. Like, thus far, they've been, you know, collectible limited edition NFTs that you purchase. The reason being, if you have one of the top 2 editions, like rarity editions, those will qualify you to get physicals of those comics, which are, you know, we're working with Raid Comics, who does Marvel and DC. They're like super elite comic creators, and the comics are amazing. They're so good, and they're an important piece of the puzzle here in terms of, like, fleshing out the story more. The cinematic, you're getting the grandiosity, but like, who are these people really, you know? And the comic pulls you deeper into that. And I think we kind of realize that, like, this more limited edition format is good for collecting, but we also want to make, like, a non-NFT readable version available in a much broader way. So working on ways that we can do that right now.
And I believe I read somewhere, if you collect, because you said the highest, I think it was 2 tiers, gets you a physical collection. If you collect the entire series of that rarity, don't you get a hardback version?
You get a hardcover that's all of them in a row. Now, that to me is like holy grail status. I
want it.
I think that's going to end up being a very, very, very collectible item from the parallel world. And I've been buying every comic drop with that in mind. And I'm also going to get all the paper covers, my favorite versions, framed and put somewhere over here. So the covers are insane. I mean, Sasha V's cover. So we have like 2 people from the Raid team and then 1 person from our team make the covers each time. So it's Matteo Scalera is one of them. He's like super famous comic artist. But Sasha V's covers are unreal. The second comic, the Cathari one, her cover is easily the coolest piece of parallel art in my opinion. It's unbelievable. The Cathari, the 2, and it's like Magnus crouching and Meredith is standing. Oh my God. It looks like Avatar. It's like, it's unreal. The quality of the art. I mean, it's so cool. And I just, as a huge fan of parallel, it's, to me, one of the coolest things to collect. Maybe not the same as the cards or whatever else, but it's cool to me. So.
Well, I guess I could share my screen. We can move on to the game, because we've talked a lot about everything, but I haven't shown the game yet. As soon as I figure out where it went, guess I'm just gonna have to share my entire screen with you, because it's always doing this to me. It doesn't like to find the games for whatever reason. There we go. So I haven't finished my rookie matches, and as you can tell, it's not for want of not playing. I will tell you that right now. I have tried to win as Shroud. I cannot win as Shroud. I've played so many games, and I found one immediate detail. If I get put up against Cathari as Shroud, it's forfeit. Game over.
Well, after the patch, I think it's a lot has changed. Cathari got super nerfed. I don't know if super nerfed is the right, but they got nerfed definitely. Shroud is about the same. Marcolian got buffed. So
wait,
oh yeah. Marcolian got buffed.
Marcolia was my favorite before the balance changes, and now you're telling me my favorite's even stronger?
Oh yeah, a number of buffs, like 4 or 5 pretty significant buffs.
The two decks.
So that might be a good place to roll, you know, on the Marcos.
I was about to say the two decks that I bought during the initial mint, which I believe is there a time limit on that? Because I noticed it was still going.
No,
today.
it's ongoing. Yeah, I mean, even after the on-chain summer promo with Coinbase ends, we're still going to offer those for sale on the site. That's one of those just things, like there's certain products that we offer that are more just like, you know, whenever you want to grab this, they're available to you. And then there's like the primary pack drops, which are always sell out extremely quickly and are kind of the most.
Is there a way
hyped.
for me to replay the cinematic for people? Oh, there. Oh, well,
Yeah,
there's the
they're
tutorial.
right. Yeah, I mean, you can. I think I can't recall if that replays the cinematic as well. Should know that. But
Got the
I
legal,
can't
of
recall that.
course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there is the friend system.
I think we can drop the cinematic probably in as part of the promo for this, right? So, or the
That's what we'll
early
do.
part.
Yeah. So by this point in the video, you guys should have already seen it, but that's what we've been talking about with the cinematic. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we actually might be able to play against each other because the social system's unlocked. Can you invite people from the social menu?
Yeah, you can.
You want to give it a go?
I don't even think
Oh,
my
right,
client's
yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
updated because I've just been working too much. And it was the patch was yesterday, so it's like I've got it.
I actually this morning I had to go download it because I saw in the Discord it was like, hey, you're gonna need the new client, and I opened mine and it was like server error. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to actually go to the website. Crap.
Yeah. That because we had to update the launcher as well. Early days in beta, you know how it is. Like,
All right. Well, I'll go get stomped in rookie mode then.
the patch is nice though. I mean, there's a ton of performance improvements. Like it feels a lot slicker, and a lot of bugs got fixed too. So
My big thing is TCGs make me anxious because I don't know every single card, and going into PvP, it's just like I'm gonna get stomped. I know I'm gonna get stomped, and that's why I haven't gotten through my rookie matches, is because the few that I have gone into, I do get stomped. Then the ones that I actually know, like the Markolian Augencore, I go in and I do decent. But to be fair, I also got one Markolian match and one Augencore in before the decks launched, and it was against AI because there weren't a ton of players back then.
Yeah, the rookie ended up thinning out. I mean, yeah, you got a lot that you can re-roll here, to be honest. I'd keep the gunslinger and the veteran probably. The rest I'd probably re-roll.
Actually, I'm probably gonna use that for a bank.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty favorable matchup for you. I mean, typically now people are running Lemieux, but you got the starter deck, so you got Catherine. But I mean,
Bank.
with a lot of the changes to Marco, they're pretty good against Shroud.
Oh, they moved the confirm button. I was looking for it in the old spot.
Yeah. Yeah, on the right side, yeah.
Oh yeah, I got it in my turn. You can tell it's
But yeah,
been a while
I mean,
since I did TCGs.
Yeah, you got a lot more. The units are a lot beefier now. So I think it's the trigger happy. Like a bunch of them got, nice changes to them. So
It is pretty easy to get field wiped if you weren't paying attention. So I do kind of appreciate that. Ooh, this is gonna be hard.
I mean, you could proc assault with that. So you could attack with your gunslinger. Oh, I mean, the crack shot dropped to 1 cost 2. That's crazy. But yeah, you could proc assault with your gunslinger and then get the two draw if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, I just gotta figure out what I want to bank.
Yeah,
think
I mean,
might be
the
a
veteran is a great card, so I would keep that.
Exactly.
That's one of your ramp cards.
And this is one of my oh crap cards. So
yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
the
And I mean,
Firebase-
it's at a 1 cost now. That's such a nice card.
Yeah.
It's again because if you think about it, you're playing Shroud, which has removal. So any cards that just deal damage right away without needing to be a unit on the board, I think would have value for you. Because that fire support could just get banished. So yeah, do the gunslinger first.
Yeah.
We must move onward!
I had to think about that real quick. Get some extra cards out here so I know what I'm gonna be
draw.
doing.
Yeah, I mean you're in a good place here.
so far, but I have played Shroud, and I know that they can ramp up pretty quickly too.
They
Got
can.
a slow start, but they definitely can come back. Oh wow, I got some high cost stuff now.
Got some beefy stuff now, yeah.
Good damage. Now this one, I love this one, especially against earthen units because they usually have high health, so it's good to throw that out. And, oh, see, there it goes. Already losing stuff.
Little banishment there.
It's
yeah, that
fine,
card
though.
used to be much cheaper, and it was it was so OP. Yeah, Bannerman is another great card. I mean, you got a lot of good stuff here.
Ooh, I don't want to bank anything.
Yeah, that's tough.
You play an effect. I don't really get a ton of effects though, so it might.
I mean,
be
you have the
good.
crack shot, but you know, you could maybe bank the hired gun and get the veteran out. Try that maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, we'll do that.
I mean, I don't know if he's gonna have a banishment to take care of that right now.
Well, we can get both of them out. So, oh, hello. Oh, right, because
Yeah, the second
yeah.
second unit buff.
There we
And then
go.
if you do play crack shot next turn, you're gonna buff the. See, I mean, now he's got to choose which of the two threats
because they're both gonna keep
to
getting
resolve.
beefy.
That's what I'm saying exactly.
I love
Solar
my
Grenade,
colors.
another amazing card. I just love that card. Any cards that are giving you utility when banked, I think are just fantastic.
Oh, that's right. 1 damage to 1 random enemy target. So realistically, if I now I just need an assault card. Actually, oh, you got an assault. So I might have to
Yeah.
save up,
So
though.
if he doesn't put a unit
Oh,
out
there it
here,
is.
see, that's fine though, because again, you still got your veteran out,
Yeah.
right? And you're gonna proc assault if you, regardless of what you do here, you know. So you could bank the grenade, and you're gonna attack with the veteran and get assault, and then you could play that. Does the Claymore deal 2 to any target?
Yep.
Yeah, to any target. So that's a nice swing here, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on that one. I'm gonna hit him there. Then we're gonna proc the assault.
Claymore, armed and ready.
Yeah, deal
2
2
damage. Deal 2 more damage. He's gonna
that's
get beefy.
Buff up. Yeah. I mean, again, you see how much better Martholian feels now? It's like,
Oh, it before it felt kind of slow. Like if they took out the combat veteran early, that was pretty much crippling. But now I'm starting to see that it doesn't necessarily revolve so much around combat veteran anymore. You have more combos.
there exactly. Yeah, there's more.
But like I said, I was enjoying Marcolium before, so like making it even stronger, especially so I've gotten her out a few times, and once I put her out, that's usually a pretty good one.
Please.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
Shroud
man.
can obviously like banish her, but you know, in general, she's a great unit to have out. I mean, you could get her
Ooh.
out this turn if you wanted to.
So is there a benefit to revealing banked enemy cards?
It's a more complex mechanic. I don't think that's something that like this deck is really wanting to do, and thus I think Recon is kind of a suboptimal card.
Okay.
So remember,
Put it out there.
yeah, if you do play heavy weapons, the second card, so you could play heavy weapons and then Catherine, and Catherine's going to get buffed if you want to go that route, or you
I've
could
got a
do
better idea.
crack shot.
Hold in position.
Oh, and then this here, yeah,
And then he gets buffed.
yeah. See, it just gets out, you know, it just gets out.
It's
Yeah, rush
scaling out of control right
phase.
now.
Rush face. This is what I mean. You know, how are they gonna? You know, even if they have the honored stewards, even if they have, you know, they're not going to be able to.
Oh, he
Oh,
gets-
oh god! That was an early
Marcolian,
concede.
and now I see why.
That's so brutal. Oh my god!
Oh man, he had no defenders or anything. If he had defenders,
Turn 4 concede there. Oh my days.
that's the first time I've had somebody concede to me in general.
So you got a pack too now. So
yeah,
that's
it's pretty
cool.
packed. Let's go. What do we get?
Let's see what we got here.
Open pack.
Okay, you got some pretty staple cards here. Let's see what else is here. Oh man, you got a bunch of stuff here.
Oh, nice.
That's like a bunch of bread and butter Markolian cards right there.
I know. But the thing is, I've got a decent collection already, because I went and bought the starter packs. Oh, I got my filters on. The one thing I noticed is there's no filter to determine between like NFT and non-NFT card.
Yeah, we're quite aware that this system needs a bit of an overhaul. it's a little bit.
There's a lot of options here, just not that one.
A little bit needlessly complex at this point. So
actually, I personally appreciate this. I understand as a newcomer who may have never played a TCG, doesn't know what they're looking at. Definitely can be a bit much, but I appreciate this many options. I just can't tell what's something I paid for.
I think the main thing is just like having the NFTs like go into the deck by default. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the case before. So.
I do have to say, I kind of dig the fact that I got this from my booster packs.
I like Star Chart. I'm a fan of Star Chart. I mean, that's a card that I have run with Markolian specifically in the past, and with Universal. So, you know, imagine you're like turn 6, turn 7, and you need that last little thing just to get it, and you play Star Chart, and it's much easier to find it. So I really personally love Star Chart as a card. And also artistically, I think it's one of the most beautiful cards.
So I know right now there's rookie mode and quick play. Oh, I've got versus AI now.
There you go.
I didn't know if there's gonna be a versus AI. Again, I'm an anxious player, so like playing against other people.
Now you can tinker, yeah.
I can tinker. Oh, that's awesome. And we got private matches. So my question now is, we have, you know, I do have a little bit of experience with previous TCGs like Hearthstone. They have like the dungeons and like PvE type modes. Is that something that's planned to be on the way, so that way we get more like PvE type challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, there's going to be a lot of new ways to play in the relatively near future. I know that the game team has expressed interest in more of that type of content. As far as when that would be in there, I'm not sure. But I can tell you that like within the next 6 months, there's going to be a lot of new ways to play Parallel that are not these ones that you see right here in the menu right now. So yeah.
This is just my want. I'm sitting here imagining it, right? And I'm like, campaign. You guys already have the ability to make cinematics and stuff like that.
Well, I agree with you that like imagine
story,
that.
And it forces me to try the other factions and characters. I want like a challenge mode, like where you set up, hey, you got to destroy your opponent in one turn, because it makes you think about how the cards all work together and your available banked energy. And I see a lot of training opportunity to get people to where they feel comfortable doing the PvP.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And
while expanding the lore too.
there's a lot of room to do that. And I like, you know, you were thinking the same way that I'm thinking about it. It's like when we have these cinematics, like where is that going to live in the game experience? Is that like once I complete rookie with a faction, I unlock a new cinematic? Like where, you know what I mean? Is that like, where does that factor in? So I think, you know, there's, again, the thing I would emphasize here is that this is the first patch of a closed beta.
Exactly.
So there is so much more room to go here and so many more things to explore and add to the game experience. But I'm with you there. I think it would be very exciting to see that kind of stuff.
And Augencore, what'd they change with Augencore?
So Augencore, I think the main thing that people are crying about is Iraq, and then Jury-Rig Juggernaut got one cost increase. But is that really that consequential? Like, I think Augencore is still super valid, to be honest. I mean, it's a great mid-range deck. It's a great OTK deck. You know, I don't think that they got the nerf stick really that bad. Qatari got the nerf stick. That's true, right?
I knew Qatari was gonna get the nerf stick, so I was like, I'm not gonna buy a deck because I'm gonna wait and see how they're balanced later. Augencore and Markolian were my first go-tos.
Just the nucleotic into artifact appraiser combo was objectively unfair. Like it was not fair. So they nerfed that and a number of other things. But then, you know, for example, they made Cunning Scythian
that old thing can beat our machines?
So I think people were like, wait, hold on, what? And then, you know, the devs put out a podcast where they explained all this stuff. it's very logical, and they have an approach, they have a thought process, and I think it makes sense.
Workshop
and,
online.
So I would
Combat
encourage people to
protocols
listen to that
initiated.
podcast if they're having questions about it. Oh, this is a weird. I mean, you got the 0, and then you got the 1. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, but
It's actually a pretty good starting hand. And then you got the
Yeah.
recon, easy bank of the recon there. Easy bank.
you said recon?
Yeah,
Oh,
bank
right,
that.
right.
And then you can play your 1 drop and put the 0 cost upgrade on it, and then you'll get an additional draw.
I hope John notices.
I mean, this is a pretty solid start for you, I would say.
I don't disagree. So, is there gonna be like a seasonal rotation? Are we gonna see cards kind of go in and out each season, or are they all? Is the plan to have them all remain valid as long as possible?
Yeah, I think that the cards are intended to remain valid as long as possible, but there will obviously be new things that come into the ecosystem. So, not this next battle pass, but the one after that. That's where we're going to start introducing, like, the premium battle pass. There will be cards that can be unlocked as part of the completion of the battle pass, and then the expansion set is coming up. So, there's a lot that will be coming. Oh yeah, this is interesting. So
This is tough.
I mean, you can't really
I need
use
everything.
the PSA. You can't really use the PSA, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, and they're probably not going to have a unit out that you could use that against. So I would probably put the unfair advantage
Eh,
and then just attack with it.
well, I was thinking of putting this on here because then I'll get to draw cards.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know what? Wait, what?
Wait, what happened there?
We're gonna need a
No
decision
valid
here.
cards? I'm confused.
Oh, I don't know what happened there.
That
It feels like
was
it might have been a bug. I'm not.
upgraded friendly
Did it-
unit.
It looked like it played it as a
Because I have an upgrade. It even shows that I have upgrades on it.
Yeah, I'm confused. That feels like it was a bug.
Possibly.
Yeah, I that didn't make any sense to me.
I mean, it happens. It's beta.
Yeah, that is true.
Let's see. So, upgraded unit has +1/+0 and armed.
A lot of different ways you could go here.
Well, I'm trying to save up for this, and if I can keep augmenting it and then throw that on there, that's gonna be nice. But if they remove it, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, you could upgrade
I
the
think I'm gonna
gunslinger
bang
too.
that. Yeah, I think that's what I'll. Well, I still need to bank something though. I don't want to get behind on my energy. Oh, this is tough. I forgot, what's the armed effect do?
It means your damage takes priority.
Oh, how do I get out? Oh no.
Right click.
Oh, there we go.
We're gonna need a decision here.
Gotta choose.
I'm kind of rushing here.
That'll work.
I got a bunch of cards back, so that works.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad outcome here. And you got your Juggernaut Workshop, which is going to produce a unit for you next turn.
Oh, see, there it is. I knew it. I called it.
Yeah.
It happens.
I mean, you got 2
Attention upgrade.
amperages. You could probably get rid of one of those. So yeah, if you bank the amperage and you play that, you can pull the amperage back onto it.
One man strategy.
Or you can pull anything really onto it that you want.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go with +1/+0 and armed,
Yeah, that's probably a good choice.
because now I can take him out. without losing anything.
No, you can still. So you can play your gunslinger, and then at the end of this turn, you're going to produce a juggernaut. So that can kill that unit if you want. So if you end your turn here, you can get the artillery juggernaut. Yeah, like look at this. So now, if you produce the artillery juggernaut, you could kill that unit if you want.
And this unit enters the battlefield. Oh, I forgot that it gets that one.
Yeah, it's
I
like your
usually get the
little factory. Yeah, I mean the defense is good. The nice thing about Juggernaut Workshop is it's all situational.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's whatever you need at the time, which is why it's a nice mid-range kind of balanced approach.
Now, the decks that we bought, they came with their own heroes, didn't they?
Never go in against
Well, the heroes are just automatically unlocked, right? Like you just have
okay.
those. Yeah, they're not purchasable things. Not in any strict sense. Like we are coming out with cosmetics for them in the future, but you don't actually buy them. They're there.
Wait, so it says at the end of each player's turn, create a 2/2 Howler. Is that 2/2 for me or 2/2 for each player at the end of their turn?
You. That card's incredibly strong. Yeah, that's one of the win conditions for Augencore is getting that out and just bum rushing the dogs. We call it the dogs. You know. I mean, I would probably try and get that out, to be honest.
That's what I'm thinking. I just gotta figure out which one. Let's see. I think I'm gonna bank this one. Get that bad boy out.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking. I mean, I don't know how much that unit's gonna be a problem for you, but yeah, you have armed on that, so you didn't actually lose any.
That's why I was. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the Howler being shielded is honestly so crazy because they can't one turn banish it unless they have an Honored Steward.
Or they
Like,
have
they
two
can't-
abilities.
Well, yeah, exactly. But either way, that's going to be costly for them. Yeah, so Brand, I mean, you know, the thing is, like, if you try and trade into Brand, you know, you can either get rid of him right away or sort of ignore him. I feel like that's.
Draw 2 cards. Salvage. Oh, that's nice.
I mean, your security officer is also part of your win condition here. The security officer, the more he gets upgraded, the stronger he gets. And he's also shielded when you upgrade him.
Stop right there.
I don't really need. Let's see, we got 3 points. On units. So this is an upgrade.
Yeah.
But
So now he's going to become shielded, so he can't be banished immediately either.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and get
Yeah, I mean, security officer is a great card. I would argue it's probably the most
Away.
potent, you know, Augencore card. Yeah, you're just cranking away here.
We're gonna need a decision here.
And then another dog comes out. See, this is what I mean. Like, it's so abusive. Like, it's actually insane.
This is ridiculous. If I don't win in the next turn, I'm gonna be salty. If he's got like a
I mean, they would. I don't think they have anything to stop this.
shielded.
See, that's what I mean. The shielded, like, it's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I was hoping the shield would save it, but it didn't.
No, 'cause that's a direct banishment effect. Not
It doesn't matter. My dog came back.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, draw a
you're
card.
just absolutely crushing here. So there's 0 chance you lose this.
I'm out of field space. Oh no, I'm not. You're telling me I can put down as many cards as I want? There's no limit?
Yeah,
Oh, this is dirty.
One man's trash.
and you can bring back one of these. Yeah, it's just now you're really pummeling him,
This is just
and you
silly.
can put that on there too.
Let's see, wait. Who am I putting on?
Yeah, it's all
That's the
overkill at
question.
this
Who do I
point.
put it on? Armed, shielded. We'll put it on him just cause.
Yeah, he's gonna get buffed again anyway.
I mean,
Yeah,
at
it's,
this point,
it's
he's got-
over. You got him covered. Here
Yeah.
easily. It's absolute dominance here. See, this is what I mean. It's like,
Hang on, I gotta screenshot this because this is just silly.
yeah, feels bad. Feels bad. Yeah, you just steamrolled him there.
Oh my gosh. Victory.
Yeah, nice game. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Aquacore is good. I don't know why people are upset.
Well, again, so I never understand why people get upset because they balanced. Yes, I get that you bought cards, but a lot of these were blind purchases. At least if you bought the decks. If you're going buying them on secondary, I mean, you can go buy secondary sales Magic the Gathering cards, and in 6 months they'll be banned by any official tournament. So,
yeah,
it happens.
I mean, the thing is that it's all gonna find its equilibrium here, you know.
Yep.
So if Shroud got nerfed a little bit, or if a Cathari got nerfed, then it's like, okay, that's not, you know, these aren't like things that are permanent, right? That's the whole point. That's the entire point of balance changes, that these are not permanent. It's like things are in flux, you know. So,
oh man, that's been my best experience with parallels to date. I say that, but I had one really good Markolian match. I don't know what it was. I couldn't sleep one night. I woke up and I was like, man, I don't want to jump into anything too crazy. I'm gonna play some parallels. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I get matched up against somebody, and it was just a steamroll. I felt so bad. They were playing Earthen, I remember, and they kept throwing out defenders, and I'm like, you are annoying. Just let me kill you already. They couldn't hit me with anything because I kept killing it all, but I was like, I'm going to destroy you eventually. Even if I have to kill every unit one by one until you are out of cards, this is going to happen. I had an entire field. He had nothing but defenders, and they kept passing defender back and forth between each other, and I'm just like, this is the best match I've ever had. Like, yeah, I'm winning and I'm steamrolling, but he's putting up a fight. Like, this is a legitimate struggle for me to finish the fight. And it started getting to a point, I'm like, he's gonna 180 this on me. Like, he's gonna play something, and it's gonna go from, I think at one point it was 30 to 8, and I'm like, it's gonna go from 30 to 8 to like
it can happen like that.
Exactly.
It can happen like that. I've been in many Marco matchups where I have them 5 or less, and I can't finish it. But this is where, like, we were talking about Star Chart, where you get Star Chart and then you find Orbital, and then you orbital them and it's done. You know, and I think like that's the cool thing about Markolian. They can deal so much damage from the hand, you know, on muster or on effects. And, you know, that's really, really potent. So you can finish the game that way. But now the units have become more substantial for Markolian at, you know, reduced cost or higher stats. So they're very well rounded, I would say, you know.
Some needed higher stats, let's be honest. Now, the ones that gain stats on attacking, maybe not so much, but I don't think those were the ones that got touched, if I remember correctly. I think it was the other ones. But the
I mean, it's not
veteran,
like, you know, yeah, it's not like other factions don't have these kind of things, you know what I mean? Like Earthen has the Dauntless Axeman, which everybody's least favorite card right now. You know, it's so OP. And they've had Mizra Loyalist for so long, and Mizra is just, I hate that card, you know, with a passion. So yeah, I mean, it's about time Markolian got some love. And again, I don't expect it to last that long where it feels this advantageous to play Markolian, but you know, again, I think all factions right now are viable and you know, really fun to play. So.
It's all about learning the cards, figuring out your win condition, and trying to play for that. What I noticed, and this is my issue going into a new TCG as well, is I don't know the cards, I don't know the win conditions, and I think something's OP simply because I don't know how to play around it. And I hope that is the case here, where a lot of players over time will eventually be like, oh, you know what? I thought this was overpowered, but realistically, I just needed to do this instead, and it's not that bad.
Here's an example. So before this patch in the beta, everybody was like, oh, the Juggernaut or like John or whatever, Iraq, whatever people were playing with the Jury Rig Juggernaut, that's too OP because it's OTK. It's like literally one defender. Any defender prevents that. Like a 2/2 Stoic Sellsword would completely disrupt that strategy. And they talked about this on the podcast. It's like, are you running defenders? Do you have no defenders? Like, why? Everyone has access to defenders. So if you're playing an OTK deck, where is that thought process? Like, you know, why not play a defender? So Yeah, there are ways to interrupt things and prevent things, and obviously like some of the more straightforward aggro rush strategies right now are a little bit harder to prevent. But
Cathari.
Markolian, yeah, well, I mean Cathari, they got
They
beat
did
with
get
nerf.
nerfed, but before the
Yeah,
nerf, I saw
they were
Cathari and
they
it
were
was an
super
immediate
strong.
concede.
The thing with Cathari was that they were able to keep going, right?
Uh-huh.
Markolian, I think, is a lot beefier now, but the problem with Markolian still remains that you can run out of steam.
I have
If
run
you're
out of
not,
cards and had nothing to play multiple times, and it's
yeah,
rough when you end up in that situation because if you have
you
no
gotta
cards in
you
your
gotta
hand, you
have
have
a
no
bit of
counterplay.
draw. You got to
Exactly.
have a bit of draw, and I think that's the mistake that I've made the most playing Markolian is I'm not focusing on draw enough. I'm just kind of like, oh, let me rush, and then I don't have any cards, and I'm like, oh shit, I just lost the game.
Yep.
So that has happened to me on many occasions.
But Shroud's the one that I need to figure out, and I have an idea of how to play the rest of them because I have
Yeah.
some experience with the different types of decks and other TCGs. So I've watched people play Earthen. I feel like with the right healing and defense, like you can become unstoppable, and once you get into the late game because it is slow at the beginning.
Earthen's very strong now.
It is.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Cathari, it's basically, what's the word for it? Aggro. It's your aggro deck. You just throw out as many units as you can. They all scale off of each other, and it gets a little overwhelming. Then you've got the Markolian, which I feel is kind of more like your tempo deck. Agincourt is your combo deck, but Shroud, control, I guess, control deck.
Yeah, it's control. I mean, there's
I don't
the
understand the
Winston's-
singularity system. That's where I'm hung up.
Yeah, I mean, what seems to be the meta now is the new Dawn Paragon, and kind of going into the singularity and fetching stuff back out that becomes a problem for your opponent. And there's a number of different win conditions, like Bora or playing Brand, and then summoning the Corrupted Visions after he leaves the field. Or Leonid is another really powerful card. Leonid basically steals their units or relics. So I think the Shroud, generally speaking, is just bleed the game out. Let them kind of expend their energy and resolve it, and then your threats develop turn 8, turn 9, turn 10.
So it's definitely something you're trying to keep control of the board. You're not trying to be aggressive. You're not trying to really like make plays early. You're trying to just keep it in your favor as long as you can to wait till you get that big one. And then once you get the big ones out.
Yeah, generally speaking, but there is, now with the some of the changes that were made from alpha to beta with Shroud, the Singularity Steward buffs off of banished units. So, if you get the Singularity Steward out early, you keep it out and you banish and keep buffing it, that can be a win condition. I've seen people get 12-12, Singularity Stewards, right? Or 12 whatever stat. Like they become really beefy really quick. So, that's a win condition too. And I think it's just, are you able to maintain control is the one common factor there,
Okay, so I may have to practice with Shroud. I love complicated decks, and that sounds like kind of where I should be leaning. Because realistically, I'm playing the decks that I'm comfortable with, and they're easy to learn, hard to master situation. Like the combos, they're in your face combos, right? Like you can look at the cards and just know, oh, this all goes together. Shroud, on the other hand, is something you kind of have to watch your opponent's moves and play off of those.
Definitely, because I mean the new Dawn is a lot of what it's doing is stealing cards, and so if your opponent is playing a beastly defender and you banish it and then steal it, you're having to kind of read the situation a little bit there. But I think Shroud is a lot of fun to play, and you could play it in more of a straightforward manner with Brand, and a lot of top ranked players are playing with Brand. Or you can play what I think is a objectively more complex strategy with New Dawn, but it's still really. And then Neve for Shroud is really interesting as well. It's like, basically when she comes out, summon a bunch of shit that you had banished earlier. And so it kind of creates a crazy, and then like random units from your opponent, like it's a wild thing too. So.
Well, now that I have AI unlocked, I'm going to be doing a lot of theory crafting because I've got plenty of cards to work with, and I'm only going to get more from here. So
there you go.
I'll figure them all out eventually. Oh man, is there anything else? Did I miss anything? Let me see. season rotation, AI options, PvE modes, card balancing. We kind of covered everything.
Yeah.
The AI colony mode. Did you want to share anything about that you got? Trying to get some alpha before we wrap up, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what. Let me think. We've put out a bunch of explorations on it, and
The recruit a friend event. Tell us about that.
Oh yes. So the Avatar Challenge, we reserved when we sold the avatars. We reserved something like 1,200 of them to give away to players, essentially. And so they're going to be given away with a couple qualifications. Win 25 ranked games, then you will unlock like a refer a friend window, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
When that referred friend signs up and they complete rookie queue, then the original person will get an avatar, a reservation for an avatar. And then they're just 11 prime to claim the avatar, but it's worth way, way more than that. So, and then the rarest avatar of all, the one of one, the Unknown Origins avatar is in that collection. It's in that pool. So some random person is going to pull this like extremely rare, avatar. And already the faction one of ones have sold for substantial amounts of money. And this one you can imagine is going to be worth more, because it's the rarest and the most, mysterious of all the avatars, and it looks super badass. So basically the idea of the contest is you need to be playing effectively. And you also need to be mentoring effectively, because you play, you invite, you mentor in that order. And if you do all three of those things, you win.
I'm excited. I want a 1-on-1. I'm hoping I get a 1-on-1. I doubt it's going to happen, but I'm going to be playing for
But
it,
imagine if
sure.
you did. That's going to be like an annual salary for somebody. So,
I'm already sold on parallels. That would just cement my position even further.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not selling it. First off, I'm a gamer. I like rare stuff.
You gotta
hold on stuff. That. Exactly.
Well, the other thing is that avatar gives you rewards for all parallels. So it's like any deck that you play with, you get increased prime.
And that's only for the one of ones, right?
That's only for that specific one. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one is completely unique in the collection.
Everyone's about to be running after this one. Oh,
yeah, it's interesting because we put out a few like teasers of Unknown Origins. There's like 2 other cards that reference it that are super rare, like Fluid Dynamics card back and MEV Stone card back. Those are the only 2 cards that reference Unknown Origins in the entire set of Parallel. So, and now this third asset, which is the rarest of all avatars. So what is that? We'll see.
I want it. That's all I know is I want it. I just want it because it sounds like it's going to look cool. Anything one of one typically has a much better like art.
It's out there. You can see what it looks like.
Oh, what's it look like? Well, I'll look at it after this.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it. You guys can go look it up too. So
Unknown Origins avatar. You search it on it's the rarest one in the OpenSea collection.
Of course.
Yeah.
So speaking of events, do you guys have any like tournaments planned? I know TCGs tend to be pretty heavy on tournaments.
We do. There's the Ardent tournament upcoming, which there's already a pretty massive prize pool for this. The baseline prize pool is already like almost $50,000. And then
bigger ones than Web3, that's for sure.
Yeah. So basically we're going to sell these tickets for the Ardent people. So the Ardent are like the top 2,500 collectors. There will be an invitational component to this as well. Pretty limited, but there will be some people who aren't on the Ardent list invited. And basically all of the sales of the tickets go back to the pool, the prize pool as well. So it's possible that this gets to be approaching $100,000 tournament in total prize pool. And it's going to be Swiss. There's going to be like a qualification period, and then it's going to be like a Swiss tournament. And yeah, it should be pretty exciting. We're going to have it streamed and do a bunch of stuff for it and promote it. But that'll be end of this month. So, or end of is it September yet? That'll be end of the month that it's about to be. How's that?
Oh man. Well, by the time this video comes out, it might be end of month because
there you go.
We'll see. It's gonna be the end of September. There you go.
End of September.
Well, anything else that I am missing? Because you guys are about to make me want to actually compete in a TCG. I've never truly competed in one. I kind of did with Legends of Runeterra for a little bit, but I love League of Legends. Couldn't stay into their card game. I played Hearthstone a lot more, and Magic the Gathering.
Well, I mean, I obviously would love to have you, and I think that we want there to be a lot of ways to generate value, by being a competitive player. So, be that I own the cards and I like to trade the cards, or be that I like to earn Prime, or be that I like to earn avatars by playing, or be that I'm in a Prime tournament, or be that I'm in a cash tournament. Like, there's going to be a lot of ways to generate value by being a top tier player. And that's how it should be, and I've talked to a lot of Hearthstone players who were like, man, I played Hearthstone at an elite level for 8 years and I'm down money. And it's like, should that be the case? I mean, that's an open question, but it feels a little bit shitty.
The thing is, the thing that actually turned me away from TCGs was actually, Magic the Gathering banning certain cards every year. The seasonal rotation of making the cards that I spent, because I spent hundreds, if not dollars, of hours grinding and obtaining these cards to make these super awesome decks, only for 3 to 4 months down the road, it's like, oh, by the way, those aren't in rotation anymore. You can't use them. And it's like all this time and money wasted. And now you guys are over here telling me, yeah, we don't want that to happen. I'm like, I'm about to collect them all. This is about to be Pokemon parallels over here. Got to catch them all.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's how it should be. At the end of the day, like I think digital items should have an ownership component, and then with digital cards, you don't like, again, if you physically print a card and distribute it, then you have a difficulty with making any changes to that. And so digital cards don't have that problem. And so if you add ownership to it, and then you add an earn element, then all of a sudden this becomes really, really interesting, right? And again, I think like TCGs as a use case for NFTs actually meaningfully solves problems. And we're all kind of looking at, Web3 and like it's a lot of times a solution without a problem. And this is actually a solution with a problem. And that's the thing that I think is really cool. And we've seen a lot of positive reception from the folks that we've talked to about that, of like, hey, this is actually really dope. I mean, I like that I can own my cards. I like that I can trade my digital cards. I like that I'm going to be generating value, not bleeding value. So,
well, before we wrap it up, do you mind if I ask you a bit of a tougher question? Because this is something I'm sure you get a lot.
Go ahead.
Why should people in Web3 play Parallels over the other Web3 TCG offerings?
I think they can play whatever they want, to be honest with you.
Preference.
Yeah, it's a preference thing. If you like Gods Unchained, great. If you like
I didn't mention no games.
Splinterlands, that's great. I mean, I think those are viable games, and that's totally fine. I mean, at the end of the day, play Parallel and tell me if you like it or not, and that's
why?
The end of it, right? That's it. Like I mean, it's a great game.
Don't like it. They need feedback. Give them criticism.
Yeah, I think it's a great game, and it speaks for itself. And if you want to play other games, also you should. And to me, it's like I like to play multiple different types of games, And I'm not like coming into Parallel. I wasn't a TCG player basically at all. Obviously, like everybody collected Pokemon cards. I collected Pokemon cards, but I didn't like play the game really. And then I got into Parallel and I became a TCG fan because of Parallel. But my favorite games are RPGs. So, if you catch me grinding some RPGs, it doesn't mean I'm not like, I still play Parallel. It doesn't like these things it's not mutually exclusive. Exactly. Like if you want to play other TCGs, the more the merrier. I mean, so I wouldn't sit here and try and say that somebody should play our game over another Web3 game. That's not the way I would look at it. I would just say, try it and see if you like it. And if you like it, play it when you feel like playing it,
That is the best answer ever, because that's exactly what I've been trying to tell people on the timeline. Like, it's not about whose is better or who copied who or who did it better. It's the fact that, to me, this is, again, just my opinion. To me, Parallels is the only sci-fi themed TCG. It appeals to me more than other TCGs because I'm so sick of high fantasy. And people are like, you know what? Yeah, that's fair. I could see that. I just don't have time for any more TCGs. And I'm like, I respect that too. That's fine.
Great. I mean, yeah, nobody's telling you otherwise.
I don't have time for
that
any
is
more
one thing.
MMOs.
There you go. I mean, that's the thing with like Web3 kind of always being adversarial, and it's like, do we need to? I don't know why we need to be comparing. I don't know why we need to be adversarial. Like, can't we just
You could collab.
respect it?
Imagine maybe one day there's a way that maybe a God's Unchained card ends up in Parallels and vice versa. Like maybe there's some crossover cards that are made between the two. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. At the end of the day, if you like a game, play the game. That's all. That's my 2 cents on it. You know, it's not rocket science. Just play whatever you like.
Exactly. All right. You got any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I mean, I would just say if you're hearing this and you haven't signed up for Parallel, make sure you sign up, and you can get access pretty soon. And if anything was interesting to you about what we said and you have questions, you can tag us on social media. And we've got people that are pretty much 24 hours looking at that kind of stuff now, and much to their chagrin. But that's the reality of the situation. So yeah, there's a Twitter up there, and then there's the starter decks. They're on base, so it's like if you're not a Web3 native person, just don't even bother with that.
Parallel.life. Parallel.life. That's where you guys can sign up, check out the website. You can buy starter decks. You can learn more about the game. You can, if you get access, you can download it.
Important thing, the game is free to play. Does not require Web3 whatsoever. Does not require NFTs whatsoever. Completely free to play. That's probably the most important thing to drive home here. Is like you don't need to spend a single dollar, nor do you need to have Web3 wallets or NFTs or anything. That's what I'm saying. There's a guy who started playing the other day, and he's like, I haven't played TCGs in ages, and he's top 100 with a starter deck. You know, so
no way.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like you don't have to spend a single dime to play this game and be good at it. So.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I love what you guys are doing. Can't wait to see more. So that's going to be a wrap for us, folks. This is another fantastic episode of the Block Sauce, but it's now coming to a close. But before we say goodbye, I want to say thank you again to Fitch for hanging out with us, talking me through some of the matches, showing me some combos. And of course, we couldn't have done it without all of our amazing viewers and supporters, because your engagement and passion fuel our drive to bring you the hottest topics and the latest games every week that were available. Remember that the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media. We have a Block Sauce Twitter now, or X, or whatever you want to call it. It's at the Block Sauce with a 3. And you can always suggest future content or games for us to check out. We're definitely going to be circling back to Parallels and checking out the status on them a little bit later. As long as Fitch will join me again. Because I got a feeling things are going to heat up. Like this isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Oh no. So, I mean, just the beginning.
Oh yeah, we got a lot more coming, and I'm gonna have to stay on top of all of it for them, especially Parallels Colony. So that's gonna be
Oh, I got you. No, don't worry.
He's like, oh, we'll get you taken care of. That's it for today, sauce enthusiasts. Join us next time for another thrilling episode of the Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3.